Meeting of the Sioux Falls Charter Revision Commission come to order. The agenda was sent out, and our first item of business will be the approval of minutes of September 9th, and I think that was all that was included in the email to everyone.
Move approval, Aguilar.
Second, Politis.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. That's 5 yeses. Okay. So what we talked about last time was that we were going to go work through the charter in 3 meetings. And today we're going to have Article 1, 2, and 3 in front of us. But I think before we get started, one little housekeeping item is Dave has either gone through a transformation or we have a new person here.
My name is Paul Bankford. I'm an assistant city attorney, and I'll be sitting in for Dave today.
Okay, thank you. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
So, how would you like to go through this? We're not going to read the entire thing, but I think if I just go through and point by point, is that okay? So on Article 1, 01 was power to the city, construction, intergovernmental relations, limitations, and new taxes. Any items there? Okay. Then I think we don't have anything on Article 1. On Article 2, City Council. The general powers and duties. Composition, eligibility, election, and terms.
Mr. Chair, I do have an item that was brought to my attention recently as far as elections and terms, and it has to do with an individual who does a partial term, and I have an example of what has occurred with present Councilor Dean Karski. He was appointed but only served 1 year, and then was reelected in 2012 for a full term, but that means that he only will have served 5 years and will not be eligible to run in the following election. And it was not brought to me by Councilor Karski, but another councilor, and they would like us to review this policy and see if we feel that there should be a change.
Okay. Anyone else on comments on that? With that up there, I guess this is the first item then that we've come up with as a possible item. And I'm wondering, how about if we were to have people do some research on what some options might be, what other governmental entities do, be it the state or the county or anyone else, as to how they address partial? Because I think that's the concern. It's on the partial, not on if 2 is the right number. It's on the partial.
Right.
Okay. So how about if we put that as an agenda item next time? Will be on 202C on partial terms. And we can address that at the next meeting. Would that be fine? Rather than trying to get that addressed here?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll put that as, if you could, Tamara, please put that as an agenda item for our next meeting. And that'll be 202C with addressing partial terms. Thank you. 203, Mayor. 204, compensation expenses.
Mr. Chair, I do have a question. I don't understand part of this. where it says, "The mayor shall participate in the city's employee benefits program, excluding the city pension system," and then it says, "However, upon taking office, the mayor may elect to participate in the employee's retirement system if allowed by ordinance, or may elect to participate in the employee's retirement system." So is there a difference between the pension system and the retirement system? And is it in ordinance? Is it allowed by ordinance?
I'm sure glad that we have an assistant city attorney with us today.
I'd be happy to look into that and bring an answer back to the council for the next meeting in reference to the difference between the pension and the retirement and what the ordinances currently allow in reference to that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So we will have 2 agenda items thus far for next week, or for our not next week, for our next meeting. Prohibitions. Vacancies, forfeiture of office, filling of vacancies. Judge of qualifications. City clerk. Investigations. Independent audit. Procedure. Under procedure, there is when we look at meetings, the items that I'm not, and I don't understand the reasoning behind this, because I think when this was set up, it was that it would be meeting monthly, and when they talked to me about meeting more than that, and I think they have established a tradition of meeting weekly.
3 times a month.
3 times a month.
First 3 Tuesdays of the month.
Okay, but I'm not understanding why there's only one as a regular meeting and the other 2 are special meetings. And if it's not designated, it's the first meeting of the month is regular. What happens when it comes to attendance? Attendance only counts at the first meeting of the month, and it is not on the next 2.
The way that that had been explained to me in the past was that that has to do with state law, but as a council member, a new council member, I remember that we had asked that question. So I'm not certain whether that's the answer or not. It would be something that the city attorney's office would want to.
And I am aware that it's the first meeting of the month. It is designated as the regular meeting. Whether that has a basis in state law or not is something I would have to check into and can certainly report back to the council next meeting.
So I think then we have our 3rd agenda item for the next meeting, which would be 211A. Okay, then 212 is action recorded in an ordinance. Ordinances in general, and updating the code of ordinances.
Mr. Chair, updating the code of ordinances, would we want to add in there 2012? I'm assuming in 2012 there was an update to the code of ordinances.
I'd be happy to give you some history on that one.
All right.
We looked at how many items we could get on a ballot, And even though thinking that would be very nice to have, because it's just there in, maybe even changing that phraseology, but an item that is there. Because I would concur with you that the 212. So,
I don't think it's absolutely necessary, but if we have room, perhaps.
okay. I think as we go through this process, we'll keep going with a list of possible items for ballot. And we could look at that 214. Because I think it was a matter of fact that it's done every 20 years. That 2012, it was updated.
It was updated in 2012, yes.
It's just not in this document that it was.
Just need to add the terminology.
Just adding the terminology. So if we could put this on our list of possible ballot items to be addressed, since it's a factual item that it was updated, would, at this point, it would just be a list that we can work on as we go through this process. And the third article is mayor. Executive power, election and qualifications,
Mr. Chair, again, if we're looking at the full or partial terms for the council, because the mayor is considered a part of the council, we should also look at it for the mayor.
okay? And so I think if we could just connect that to where's 2? If we could just connect that one on 302 to the 202C, so that those two discussions could be held simultaneously,
Yes.
or consideration simultaneously. Thank you. Mayor's duties and responsibilities. Mayor's power to veto legislation. I want to say thank you to everyone for taking the time to read through this. It's important documentation, and it's available out on the internet as well. What is the address for that?
It's www.siouxfalls.org.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we'll ask if there's anyone with input from the public. Well, with that, it looks like we've accomplished the items that we'd asked for this meeting. When we meet next, we will have, and currently that is scheduled for Thursday, November 12th. And on that one, we will go through Articles 4, 5, and 6, as well as the discussion items on the ones that we had come up with today. So would that be fine with everyone for an agenda for next time? But I think if we started with those and then went to the new ones? Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a recommendation that we put the items under old business that we need to discuss again, and then the other items will be under new business, just to separate the two. Is that all right?
That's a great suggestion.
Thank you.
Any comments, any reconsideration for any of those items? Do I need a motion for adjournment? With that, meeting adjourned.